Hello, my name is Veronica. I wanted to talk to you about my testimony and just a story that I'd like to share. And I just want to get right into it. So I'm going to church for about 2 or 3 years, and I'm doing so good. And I'm losing weight. I lost 100 more pounds, and I was feeling so good about myself. I was so outgoing, and I lost so much insecurity, and I was more bold, and I was just feeling just like just this joy, and I just wanted to share with the world, just how great life was, and in that the boldness that came in came just this passion, and I got it mixed up with this anger and this. I was just refusing to be bullied. And when you're losing weight, people can become jealous and like, oh, then here's this girl, she's too big, and then all of a sudden she's losing weight, and like she can become a threat. And I was um, losing weight rapidly, healthy in a healthy way though, in the Lord's way. Sorry, but I remember there was a couple of times where I had gotten to a couple altercations with one of the church members there, and I was a youth staff, so that was prohibited. You're not supposed to do that, and as a Christ follower, you're not supposed to do that at all. But as a youth member, youth staff, that's prohibited, and you're supposed to be an example towards the youth. And I was not being a very good example, and I got, you know, uh, told not to come back into the program and to go be into the sanctuary. And the sanctuary is where I was in choir. So, it was no more youth program. It was just a choir and sanctuary. So now I was just in the choir. And in the choir, there was more incidents where I felt like, I just wanted to speak my mind at this point. There was just jealousy everywhere. I was jealous. There was jealousy towards me. It was just a mess. For me, I felt like it was just like the devil was coming after me full force, and I felt like if I didn't do anything, I was going to scream. And at that point, I was already dealing with suicidal thoughts, and I was cutting myself, and I was dealing with so much suicidal thoughts that, I felt like if I don't do anything, I feel like I'm going to scream, or I feel like I'm going to do something to myself bad if I don't just release it onto somebody that isn't myself, because I realized that if I didn't take it out on the person that was doing this verbal or just mental abuse towards me, then I would take it on myself. I would start cutting myself, and I would get so emotional, and I would trap it inside, and I wouldn't tell anybody. But there was one point where I just got into cutting really bad, and it was all because of my anger and hatred towards others. And hatred towards others developed into witchcraft, and I just wanted to be alone. And sooner or later, I remember being into an altercation with a choir member that was just an argument, but it escalated into another month or so. I ended up wanting to fight the person that was in the altercation with me a month back from the altercation. And like I said, it was anger and hatred, and a lot of witchcraft I was dealing with, and I remember doing a lot of witchcraft. Yes, a lot of witchcraft, and I remember after this had happened, I got expelled from the church, just kicked out of the church. They didn't want me to come back. So that's where everything just came downhill. I was doing so good here, like I said, I was doing so good. I was so outgoing. I was so happy that I lost so much weight, and I was going back to school, which I'd never been able to do because I was bipolar, and that's another story, but I'm just going to tell you this little story, but I'm going to throw it in there that I was bipolar, and God had healed me, and, you know, I wasn't able to go to school, but now, I was able to go back to adult education, and I was able to get in some classes to help me to get my GED, and in the middle of all this, I was still going to school. I was still in church, and in the middle of all this happening, everything just stopped. Everything just stopped. Witchcraft took a hold of me. Suicidal thoughts took a hold of me. Weight gain, depression, mental illness started trying to take a hold of me, and it just all came back crashing down. And I remember at some point just being so bad into cutting where I would start to just do it out of anger. I never did it out of boredom, but I remember doing it out of just anger. I would get so mad at God. I remember blasphemy being that one sin that I dealt with so bad to where I couldn't understand how God could let something so bad happen to me. Let all these things happen to me. Let these suicidal thoughts happen to me. Let the lack of healing, the lack of just all this stuff. God, I thought you said that all this stuff, the lack of peace. I was just so angry at God for all these situations that have happened. I was mad at Him and His people. I was mad that He couldn't keep His people in mind. I was just mad at God. I was mad at the world, and it may seem little, but I was mad at God that He let this happen. Let me get kicked out of church. He let me. He let me. He let me cut myself. He let me. He let me have suicidal thoughts. He let me. Depression came back. Bipolar disorder was trying to come back, and God, you said you healed me. And what made me think all this was, God, everything happens for a reason. And God only allows the devil. He allows the devil to do these things. So it made me think, okay, you allowed this to happen. So therefore, you're the purpose of all this happening. So I blasphemed so hard. I remember at one point in the middle of the night, I was went out of my mind. This is at some point I lost my mind. I left my house. In the middle of the night, I say it was 3 o'clock in the morning, I left my house, and I was walking in an angry rage, wanting to do something, wanting to break into a store, wanting to just cause havoc in my city, wanting to cause havoc, just wanting to cause havoc somewhere, wanting to start a fight, wanting to do something. And I ended up not doing anything but throwing my middle fingers up to the sky, into the sky, towards God. And that was probably worse than starting a fight. For me, it's probably worse than starting a fight. It's probably worse than arson, and it's probably worse than anything that I can ever imagine. Because I was doing so good in church, and I love God, and I loved God so much at that point. But to just do something like that to God really broke my heart, and I know it had to have broke His. And I remember being angry still. I had no remorse in it. It was just such a long time for me to get over blasphemy. Every time I got jealous of others, I would jump to blasphemy. God, you let me be like this, and then you let them be like that. They're doing so good, but you have me here like this. You know, it's just stuff like that that made me blaspheme God so bad. I went to eating, God had told me to eat right, eat healthy, and then I said, you know what, forget it. I'm not going to even try harder. I'm not even going to try for you anymore. So I started sinning, and I started dressing provocatively. I started eating more. I started dating. I started dating somebody that I had met in school, that I said no to in school because I was with God very faithfully. But I said, you know what? You know what? I'm gonna date this person because God doesn't love me anyways. God doesn't care anyways because He let this happen. So I ended up dating, and I dated, and I went on dating websites, and I dated, and I dated, I dated, and many men I dated, and it was a terrible time for me. And I remember getting into drugs and alcohol so bad to the point where I lost my mind, so bad to the point where I had to admit myself into a mental hospital, a mental institution. I did it because I wanted to be free. I wanted help. And if I wouldn't have done that, then I would be still on drugs to this day. Because when I got out of the hospital, I was freed from the drugs. I never wanted to do it again. And I remember it left some scars. The drugs left some scars. It really did. My mind was a little slow, a little altered. But I said, you know what, God? You know what, God? It's gonna go away. That's not gonna be me. It'll take me minutes to get to you. You were talking to me, and I wasn't all there. And it was like I was on this. I was still. I wasn't all there. And I was just very slow-minded after the fact that I had done all these drugs, and it just ruined my mind, ruined my life, and it ruined my soul. And because here I am in a new temptation, it just ruined me. It ruined me. It ruined my life. I lost everything. I lost my purity. I lost everything because of blasphemy, because of anger, because of jealousy, because of one thing, because of that one seed that I sowed, that altercation, that fight that I wanted to get into, that one thing that I did that I could have avoided. I lost everything. But now, the grace and mercy of God, sorry, the grace and mercy of God, I was able to pick myself up with God and His power, and I was able to get off of drugs and stop drinking and live a normal life. And right now, my mind is stable only because of God. My life is stable only because of God. And right now, my testimony is I'm working to get my diploma at Penn Foster, and I'm working to get my diploma at Penn Foster. I will be graduating in 2019. And I'm working on losing weight, the weight that I gained. Um, I moved from an 1,800 calorie diet to a 1,200 calorie diet, so praise God. Um, I moved I started exercising and dancing more. Getting out of my depression. I'm starting to do more. I'm starting to clean around the house more and get up in the morning and, start a daily regimen, and mine is stable. And I just wanted to tell everybody that you're never too far gone, because I was far gone. And it happened in weeks. I was far gone in weeks. You're never too far gone. You're never too far gone. You're never too far gone for God to lift you up. It happened in weeks for me to be in the pits of hell. And He can lift you up just that fast to be in the heavens with Him. So God is so good. I just want to let you know how good God is. And He loves you so much. And wherever the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And just remember that you are free. And all you have to do is remember that. You don't have to be a slave to sin. In your suffering. In your suffering, you don't have to be slave to your suffering. You have to be slave to your sin. Even when I was sinning and sinning and sinning, I still was worshiping God. Even while I was a witch, I still worshiped God deep within my heart. I said, you know what, God? I know I'm doing wrong. I know I'm doing wrong. And I'm trying. And that's all it takes. And that's all it took for me, is to keep trying and trying. God, I know that what I just did was wrong. I know serving Satan is wrong. I need your help. Every day. Every day. It took me months and weeks and to get back to where I am. And it took me so fast to get into just this deep hole. But it was worth the fight. I remember while I was smoking, I was saying, God, I'm sorry. I'm trying. And I remember praying, even as, as a drug addict, I would still pray to God every single day. Say, God, I know I'm doing wrong, but I know one day I'll be free. I know one day I'll be free. So just act like your sin is less than God's, because that's what it is. Act like you can't even see that, because that's what it is. It's invisible. It's invisible. Act like it's invisible. Act like you can't even see it. That's what it is. It's nothing to God. Act like you can't even see it. Act like it's nothing. Because that's what it is to God. God don't see that when He looks at you. It's invisible when He looks at you. When He looks at you, He sees His child. And yes, He does see your sin, but He sees you past the sin. And He accepts you. So God bless you. And I hope you like my story. I hope you accept it into your heart. Because I just want to help and let you know that God is with you. If He was with me, and if He helped me, then He'll help you. Amen.